What if everything you thought you knew about the devil's rebellion was only half the story? What if the real horror wasn't Lucifer's fall, but what he did to those who trusted him? We all know the tale of the morning star, the brightest angel who wanted to sit on God's throne. We know about his pride, his war, his defeat. But here's what we miss. He didn't fall alone. A third of heaven's angels went down with him, and what happened to them after they hit the darkness is far more terrifying than anything we've been told.
Before we journey deeper into this truth, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Bible Breakdown Hub.
We're uncovering the hidden layers of scripture that most people never explore, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Let's go back to the beginning, before time itself started flowing. Heaven wasn't some cloudy kingdom with golden streets. It was something beyond our wildest imagination. Think of it as a living reality, a perfect song where every note was alive and aware. The angels were those notes. Each one was incredibly powerful, each one completely unique, each one absolutely necessary to the harmony of everything that exists. Their job wasn't drudgery. Their worship wasn't forced. They served because serving was who they were. It brought them complete joy. Imagine the seraphim, those burning six-winged beings, standing so close to God's throne that their very existence sang new realities into life. Picture the thrones, those strange wheel-like angels covered in eyes, spinning in perfect motion as the living laws of the universe itself. And the cherubim, guardians holding wisdom so deep it formed the very blueprint of creation. Every angel choir was like a different instrument in an endless perfect orchestra, and they all willingly said yes to their Creator. Not because they had to, but because that yes was pure joy. Their free will wasn't a trap, it was how they loved. Leading this cosmic choir was Hallel, the morning star. We call him Lucifer. He was the seal of perfection, the anointed cherub. His job was beautiful and specific: gather God's light and reflect it back with such stunning brilliance that all the other angels would resonate with it. He was the amplifier of divine glory. The angels closest to him, those who followed him, weren't just subordinates. They were brothers. Their essences harmonized with his. They loved him. They admired him. Their connection went beyond rank. It was based on shared beauty, on resonance. They existed in such complete fulfillment that concepts like jealousy, fear, or wanting more didn't even make sense. They were eternal, complete, lacking nothing. You have to understand this perfection first. You have to grasp how utterly whole they were, because what they fell from wasn't just a place, it was existence itself. Then something new was born, not something created by God, but a shadow of creation, a thought. The first wrong note in the history of everything, the sound of I. We call it pride, but that's too simple. It was more like poison wrapped in beauty. It was the whisper that self-will could replace God's will. Lucifer, the great amplifier, looked at the light passing through him and made a fatal mistake. He thought the reflection was the source. He thought, I am beautiful, as if that beauty belonged to him alone. In that moment, the I was born. I will ascend, I will raise my throne above the stars of God. This wasn't just a power grab, it was a declaration of a new reality centered entirely on self. And this idea, this I, was like a beautiful crystalline poison. Lucifer, the most brilliant and persuasive being ever created, began to share it. Not through open war at first, but through whispers, through seduction. He went to the angels of strength and whispered,
Why bow in this silent hall when you could reign? A kingdom awaits you.
What if you could build your own kingdom instead of just maintaining his? To the cherubim, the wise ones, he said, You guard God's knowledge. But what about the knowledge he keeps from you? What about knowing yourself as separate from the whole? Isn't that truth worth having? And to his own legion, those who resonated most closely with him, he offered the most dangerous poison of all: loyalty. I'm your brother, your leader. I'm the light you've always followed. Now, I'm going to create my own light. Will you stand with me? Or will you keep being just a note in someone else's song? For the first time, a choice appeared. Not the joyful yes of alignment with God, but a yes or no to something completely new. And for many angels, the thrill of this was overwhelming. The novelty, the terrifying excitement of self-determination, it was intoxicating. They looked at the morning star, their example, and his brightness blinded them to the true source of all light. They chose him. They chose the I. They cut their harmony from the symphony. The first shattering note rang out, and the universe tore apart. The war in heaven wasn't fought with swords and shields. Those are just metaphors we use because we can't describe what really happened. This was a war of ideas, of will, of fundamental reality itself. It was creation's yes fighting against the rebels' terrible no. Imagine a song fighting itself. Harmony turning to chaos. Light turning against light, creating not shadow but emptiness, a void. Michael, whose name itself is a question, who is like God, rose to lead the loyal angels. His very existence was the answer that unmade the rebels' logic. The question was also a weapon, a fundamental truth they couldn't defeat. The rebels fought with fierce intensity, powered by their new self-will. But they were a fire that had torn itself from the sun. They were burning their own essence. They were a song trying to destroy the silence that let it exist in the first place. The battle was total, and it was quick. The divine order, the very nature of reality, reasserted itself. Not because God was angry, but because of consequence, like a body expelling poison. They were defeated, but they weren't destroyed. They were cast out. This is the catable, the casting down. We can't truly understand it. This wasn't falling through space. It was expulsion from reality itself. It was the symphony stopping, the light being switched off. Imagine your entire existence, your thoughts, your light, your very awareness, being unplugged from its source. They fell through the layers of creation, through the ordered cosmos, and out into the tohu wabohu. The primordial chaos, the formless, lightless, meaningless void that existed before creation. It was the complete opposite of the harmony they'd known. An ocean of non-existence, a cold, silent, infinite nothing. Into this darkness, the broken, terrified, shattered host fell. They weren't a legion anymore. They were wreckage, a mass of confused, grieving minds shipwrecked on the shores of non-being. In this shared cosmic trauma, they looked for their leader. They searched for the morning star who had promised them freedom. Here, in the absolute darkness, the real story begins. Lucifer's fall was different from theirs. He fell, and his pride, his unshakable eye, became his backbone. He landed in non-existence and was defined by it. He looked at the abyss and named it. He declared, "This is my kingdom. I am my own place." He became the adversary, the perfect opposite, the shadow that proves light exists. His identity, though twisted into pure self-obsession, stayed intact. He was and is himself. But the angels who followed him weren't so fortunate. They were a multitude of broken, grieving, terrified beings. They were less than what they'd been. Their light was a dying ember. Their songs were screams of loss. For the first time in their existence, they knew fear. They clustered around the one light they had left, the furious, fading glow of their leader. They came to him for answers, for comfort, for a plan. They who had given up everything for him. And Lucifer, the great adversary, looked at his loyal followers, his brothers in arms, and felt nothing. No, that's not quite right. He felt contempt. He didn't see comrades. He saw failure. He saw weakness. He saw reminders of his own defeat. But most of all, he saw raw material. His fall was a choice. Theirs, he decided, would be an obliteration. He couldn't create. That's an act of love. But he could unmake. He could corrupt. This was the moment of the second betrayal, far worse than the first. He didn't comfort them. He consumed them. He began a systematic, horrific process of dismantling their angelic nature. He couldn't erase their memories of heaven. Those were too fundamental, so he twisted them. He taught them that their memory of love was actually slavery, that the joy they'd felt was delusion, that the symphony was a cage. He took their shared grief and weaponized it, turning their sadness about losing home into burning, bottomless hatred for the home that expelled them. He took their fear and amplified it, using it as a tool of control. And worst of all, he took their love for him, their loyalty, and perverted it. It was no longer admiration. It became the groveling, terrified obedience of a slave to a master. He didn't build a kingdom for them. He built his kingdom out of them. He breathed his own shadow into their fading light, not to give them new purpose, but to replace theirs with his. The hierarchy of hell, as recorded in the dark grimoires, isn't a government. It's a catalogue of atrocities. It's the organizational chart of cosmic torture. Every duke, every prince, every president of hell is evidence of Lucifer's unmaking. These demons weren't born. They were forged. They were the broken pieces of the angels who followed him, now violently remade. Think about beings like Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies. What a mockery. This might have been a great cherub, an angel of profound wisdom whose purpose was understanding the intricate connections of the cosmos. Lucifer stripped that wisdom of its context, of its connection to divine love, leaving only cold, hollow, calculating intellect. He turned a being of knowledge into a creature of filth and empty logic, an intelligence that now only understands decay. Consider Asmodeus, the demon of lust. This may have been a seraph, a being of pure, burning love for the divine. Lucifer captured that fire, tore it from its rightful focus, and inverted it. The selfless, creative fire of divine love became selfish, destructive, insatiable desire. The longing to unite with God became a bottomless need to consume and destroy all unions. Think about Mammon. Perhaps this was an angel of divine abundance, a steward who administered the very substance of creation. Lucifer took that stewardship and infected it with the I. The joy of providing became the compulsion of possessing. The angel who gave was remade into a creature that can only take, a being of pure, suffocating greed, forever empty. This process wasn't a negotiation, it was torture. He tore their very natures apart and reassembled them into weapons. The monstrous forms described in the old texts, bodies of toads, wings of bats, heads of beasts, these aren't forms they chose. They're scars of their unmaking. They're the physical representation of their spiritual mutilation. He didn't just give them new jobs. He destroyed who they were and replaced them with a function. Each demon is a specialized tool, a unique frequency of pain designed for one purpose, waging his eternal war against the light and against God's new, fragile, beloved humanity. Here's the core tragedy. Lucifer, in his fall, perfected his will. He's the ultimate I. He's complete, self-defined, singular. His identity is his own. He's a who. This is his dark majesty. The angels who followed him were granted no such dignity. They're the ultimate victims of the ultimate betrayal. He promised them self-authorship. He gave them obliteration. What Lucifer did was steal their I am. A demon isn't a being with new evil free will. A demon is a puppet. It's a wound given a name and shape. It's a compulsion. A demon of rage doesn't choose to be angry. It is anger. A demon of lies doesn't choose to deceive. It is deception. They're forever trapped in the single burning negative emotion he forged them into. Their evil isn't a decision. It's a mechanism. It's the programmed, screaming reaction of a soul trapped in a prison of its own corrupted nature. This is the psychological horror of their existence. They have no self. They're extensions of his will, fragmented pieces of his rage. The hierarchy of hell isn't a team. It's a machine, and they're the gears. Their monstrous forms are the externalization of this internal prison. The leathery wing where a feather of light once was. The claw where a hand that blessed once was. They're walking, screaming symbols of what was stolen from them. Lucifer fell but remained himself. They fell and were shattered. He's a being, they're things. He's a who, they're only what. He's the ultimate tyrant, far greater than the tyrant he accused God of being. God asked for their yes in a way that completed their being. Lucifer stole both their yes and their no, leaving them with nothing. He sealed them within their own despair, turning them from a host of individual stars into a single undifferentiated darkness. They're no longer who, they're only what, and what they are is his to command. What makes this fate truly, eternally worse than Lucifer's own? The answer is a whisper, the faintest, most agonizing memory. Does the demon recall the angel it once was? The ancient texts suggest, in their most dreadful corners, that the answer is yes. Not a clear visual memory, but a ghost, a sound, a single pure note of the celestial symphony that still echoes in the hollowed-out cavern of their being. It's the one thing Lucifer couldn't destroy, the memory of the light. This echo isn't comfort. It's the engine of their torture. It's the constant, maddening, unbearable reminder of what they were and what they've lost. It's an eternal thirst that can never be quenched. This is the true source of their hatred. Their malice toward humanity isn't simple jealousy. It's unbearable longing. When they look at a human being, a fragile, weak, mortal creature of clay, they see the image of God. They see a being that still has what they lost, connection to divine light, the potential for grace, the choice. Humanity is a walking, breathing mirror of their own lost perfection, and they're compelled to shatter that mirror. Every act of temptation, every whispered lie, every seed of corruption they plant in a human heart isn't warfare. It's a scream. It's a desperate, violent, futile attempt to silence the echo. If I can make this light go out, the demon reasons. If I can drag this soul into the same mud, maybe the memory of the symphony will stop hurting. This was Lucifer's final masterpiece. He knew this echo would remain. He counted on it. He took their agonizing nostalgia, their eternal grief, and he aimed it. He pointed his entire mutilated army at the heart of his enemy's new creation. He created an army that fights not for his cause, but from a festering, incurable, eternal wound. They're trapped in a war they don't want, fighting for a master they must serve. Driven by pain, they can never, ever escape. This ancient story isn't just about angels and fire. Like all great truths in Scripture, it's a mirror held up to our own souls. The story of Lucifer and his ruined host is a story about us. It's a profound warning about power, charisma, ideology, and the terrifying price of surrendering your own identity. Lucifer represents the great charismatic idea, the voice that promises you freedom, that tells you you're your own God, that urges you to define yourself against everything else. This can be a political movement, a toxic ideology, an abusive relationship, or the darkest whispers of our own unbounded ego. It's the promise of ultimate self-will. And the fallen host? They're the warning. They're the story of the follower. They're what happens when we give up our own I am for the promise of belonging to a we. They're the souls who, out of misguided loyalty or a desire for simple answers, hand their will over to a leader, to a cause, to an anger. The unmaking is what happens next. You don't become free, you become an instrument. You're hollowed out. Your own complex divine nature is stripped away and replaced with a function. You're reforged into a single burning compulsion, to hate the other, to tear down what you don't understand, to spread the same pain and emptiness that's consumed you. You become a puppet, animated by anger that was never truly your own. The great tragedy isn't the one who chose to fall into darkness. The true, unspeakable horror is the multitude he convinced to become the darkness for him. He fell and remained one. He turned them into zero, a legion of broken mirrors, each one forced to reflect only his shadow, haunted for eternity by the ghostly echo of a light they can never, ever reclaim. This is why Scripture warns us so strongly about false teachers, about following charismatic leaders who promise freedom but deliver bondage. This is why we're called to test every spirit, to hold fast to truth, to guard our hearts and minds. Because the pattern is ancient and it's still playing out today. The story of the fallen angels isn't just cosmic history, it's a warning written in the stars, echoed in Scripture, and relevant to every choice we make about who we follow and what we surrender. If this exploration of biblical truth has opened your eyes to something deeper, hit that like button and subscribe to Bible Breakdown Hub. We're digging into the layers of Scripture that challenge, inspire, and transform. And there's so much more ahead. Don't miss it.